Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. We know people are in line. Don't worry, there are no quizzes, there's no facts that you have to really listen to and, just look over here occasionally. We're here. Thank you for coming. I think you all know me. I'm Maureen Hackett. I started Howling For Wolves, but you guys are Howling For Wolves. So today, a lot of wolves are going to live that would have otherwise died. And so, after 3.5 years, this would have been the 4th wolf hunt. If I can believe that. It would have been the 4th wolf hunt. So what my goal today is to basically give you a recap of what we've done for the last year and introduce to you some partners that we have that we've been kind of working with, and people that are working directly with Howling For Wolves, and then people who are working parallel paths. So that's what I'm going to do, is introduce those people first so I don't forget, because that happens sometimes. When you do a presentation, by the end you forget to introduce the people you want to thank. So first thing I want to do is introduce Christine Coughlin. If you could stand up. Sorry, I know you're... Christine Coughlin previously was the director of Minnesota Voters for Animal Protection. I want to give them a shout out. They're a really good way to find out what's happening at the state level in Minnesota with animals politically. And now she's on their board because she took on a new role as director of HSUS, that's Humane Society United States, HSUS, Minnesota State Director. And it was HSUS that has made today possible, because HSUS led the lawsuit that resulted in the wolves being placed back on the endangered species list in the Great Lakes and in Wyoming. And so we thank you, Christine Coughlin, for now directing HSUS at the state level and for the national HSUS effort legally. And there were some other groups. It was Fund for Animals, right?
I think it was Born Free.
Born Free.
In their environment, and another one.
So Born Free, and I think the Fund for Animals was in there too. And the reason I raised that is because the person who started the Fund for Animals was Amory Cleveland. And a lot of people may or may not remember Amory Cleveland, but he's the guy who really helped Sea Shepherd get started too. And the Fund for Animals is nobody gets it done like the fund, is how they would say. And Born Free is the organization that started in England, I believe, and they're still located in England. And they are being led by the son of the couple that were featured all about the lion Elsie. Elsie the lion, when they had that lion, they took her back to Africa to release her because she was born free. And so that's the name of that organization. And I appreciate all these organizations. I think you can tell that I've supported a lot of them too. But the reason we are here today with Howling For Wolves is we saw this wolf hunt starting and we couldn't get it stopped without forming our own organization. So the other person I want to introduce is Colette Adkins. Colette, where are you? There she is. The Center for Biological Diversity. Colette is an attorney, and she started her career out really assisting a man named Brian O'Neill, an attorney for Fabry and Benson, who's now retired. But they were key to keeping the wolf protected for years. All the lawsuits that happened in, I believe it was 03, 06, or 07, and 09, you were part of that. And then Colette saw that we were making some progress, and she wanted to kind of give us a boost. So she talked the Center for Biological Diversity into doing a lawsuit based on the fact that we had no public comment. We had the procedure, the rulemaking procedure, and even though it was in law that there was supposed to be a public comment, we didn't have one. So Colette led that lawsuit. Didn't prevail, but we did get some media out of it, which is really key. And the key to getting media, I want to let everybody know here, is to you showing up. And you have repeatedly shown up for almost 4 years. So thank you so much to all of you. You guys. So we also have, I think the key to us showing up and asking is that the legislators are willing to listen and also join us in the fight. And we have a few very important wolf advocates here, and one is Senator Uyghur. Senator Uyghur, where are you?
Hello,
yeah. animal advocate, and he, you know, he doesn't make any apologies for it. And a lot of the state and federal lawmakers are all afraid of the wolf. You know, it's like we're afraid of the big bad wolf. You know, they don't want to come out and stand for the wolf. And not Senator Uyghur, he will stand for the wolf. And he basically authored many of the bills that we had put in the state legislature last year that are still alive for this next legislative session. The other legislator that is here is Yvonne Seltzer. She is my legislator, Representative Seltzer. Now, Yvonne has, you know, she has a little bit more of a moderate district. I'm in that district and on the west suburbs. But she has always at her heart the animal issues and environmental issues, and she co-authored many of the bills also, and I think she probably will again. And as she's now in her second term in the legislature, and I'm sure she will do more. So I think that's it for our legislators here. But Chris Eaton, Senator Eaton, is on her way, and she was the one who, in the very beginning in 2012, from the floor of the Senate, was advocating for the 5-year moratorium before the wolf hunt started. She didn't know us, we didn't know her, but she was speaking from her heart, and then after that we asked her to sponsor the 5-year moratorium bill. At first it was an amendment that I had my senator, David Hann, actually sponsored that. An amendment on the floor in 2012 to put the 5-year moratorium on a wolf hunt back in law that was lined out, and he did that. We didn't get much, we only had about 26 senators vote. It was a 26-41 vote. We lost, but then Senator Eaton made and proposed a bill, and we took it through the Senate at the legislature level. Anyway, so that's a lot on the legislature, and those are the intros, but also Sandy Skinaway. See, Sandy, where are you? There she, Sandy's getting food. So Sandy Skinaway, Sandy, turn around and wave. Sandy Skinaway is a member of the Ojibwe tribe called Sandy Lake, and Sandy has come down repeatedly from Duluth and also made trips to Washington, D.C. She has a lot of background to her that people don't realize. She's a military veteran, and she's been an advocate for the indigenous people, Native Americans, and her own tribe and other tribes for environmental laws for many years. But she took on Maingan, which is the Ojibwe word for wolf, and has been a real steadfast partner with Howling For Wolves and working with us in Duluth and coming to a lot of our events at the state capitol. And the other people I'd like to talk to about are, we have a lobbying team with Lockridge, Grindle, and Noun. We have some members of the state lobbying team, and it's Amos Briggs and Dan Larson. They're back there. And they probably want to be called consultants or advisors. They're at least willing to be called lobbyists. And lobbyist sounds like a really bad name, just like attorneys have a bad name, just like psychiatrists have a bad name. And all of that you can say is true until you need one. And when you need one, they don't have a bad name anymore. And I'll tell you, not many lobbyists are willing to take on the wolf. Because you've got to, you're giving away political capital. For some reason, it's a wedge issue. It shouldn't be. But they have gone in, put their helmets on, and taken concussions for us, and will do so again. And so that's what we rely on them for. And they've helped us with this event. They are, in part, helping to sponsor this event today. So we thank Lockridge, Grindle, and Noun. Thank you. And Leslie Rosedal and Peter Blessing are helping us with communications. Leslie helped me put this together, and Peter's back there. Thank you very much. Isla Droomer. A lot of you may have heard her name when you were volunteering for the state fair. Isla was really key in helping us get that state fair done, and it was very helpful. So Isla's been back there with the t-shirts, and Lisa Marie Reisinger is back there too. She does the shipping for us when people order t-shirts, and we really appreciate that. What I'm going to do today is take you through the last year, then I'm going to have Christine come up and speak for a few minutes, and then we're going to have our guest speaker, Jim Brandenburg. And I'm sorry we're taking so long because Jim, I know do you mind me telling people or no? Jim got Lyme's disease like a month ago. And so, yeah, and it's a horrible, we all know it's a really bad illness. So he's here, he's on medications, and he's antibiotics, and it's kicking his butt, basically. So he made it despite that. And we'll also... So go ahead. So 1 year ago today, we made the headlines with wolf supporters rally to oppose the start of Minnesota's third wolf hunt. And here we are at the Capitol, and like I said, you know, if we have a rally and only a few people show up, it doesn't really help the cause. So you guys have always gotten on your, you know, your battle gear, you know, your signs, your t-shirts, and you've come out when we've asked, and that was really important. You know, you can't imagine, when we plan an event, I'm always like, well, what if nobody shows up? Well, what if nobody shows up? That's always my biggest fear, you know. You can do all you can to like have the setting nice, the food nice, and everything else, but it's the people who show up that make the event. I can't emphasize that more. So we did that, and the kids came too. So when the wolf hunt went forward, we tracked it. And when they closed one of the northeast zones, and it was clear they were heading towards going beyond the quota, we put out a press release. You know, we said, you know, you know, both times they've exceeded the quota on the last two hunts, and they're on their way to doing it again. Well, then we went ahead and found out that they did. And so on December 11th, I think it was, we had a rally outside the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources. We didn't have a huge number, but we had about 30, 35 people, and that makes the news still. When you stand out in front of a state agency, you throw out a press release and say, look, they've gone over the quota, shut it down. Shut this thing down. Well, little did we know
December 19th.
that December 19th, I know that name, but little did we know that December 19th that they would go ahead and put the wolves back on the endangered species list. And if you remember, December 19th was a Friday afternoon, and it was 3 o'clock, and I remember I had something I had to write, and I thought, I'm going to get out of this email and get into a Word document, but I better check my email one more time. And I look and I see this weird message from Leslie saying, Great Lakes wolves return to the endangered species list. And from Twitter. And she forwarded it, and I was like, what? I can't, what? No, that's not, and it was true. It was true. Judge Burl Howell, Burl Howell. And, you know, what she said was, you know, this is basically, it's time for her, it was a 111-page document that she produced, and obviously had spent quite a bit of time on it. HSUS had obviously given her lots and lots of good information. And what she pointed out Minnesota's plan and said, really the plan is essentially an unregulated hunt in 2/3 of the state. Because if you look at our wolf plan, which I keep passing around to people wondering if they're still using part of it, in addition to that 5-year moratorium, they had extremely generous trapping, extremely generous, that essentially created a moat around northern Minnesota in 2/3 of the state, and not letting wolves be seen. If they're seen, they would be baited and trapped. And so she shut it down. And so we thank Judge Burl Howell. I will say, I never heard her name before, didn't know when they were going to come out with the opinion, but Leslie was on it, got me the message. We had a press release ready, and we were on the news that night. And that was amazing, because I was like, not exactly thinking I was going to be on the news in 2 hours. So that's what we do. So then we went ahead and we had Wolf Day at the Capitol. A lot of people were thinking, well, what would you want Wolf Day at the Capitol for if they're not going to be hunted and they're on the Endangered Species Act? Well, there are a lot of things that need to be done to protect wolves at the state level, whether they have endangered species listing or not. And so people showed up. People understood this was important. See, let's go back to that picture. That's a beautiful picture. Look at that picture. Yeah. That's us at the Capitol. How many groups get that many people at the Capitol? And that was our second Wolf Day. You know, it's hard to keep up the enthusiasm when you're fighting against, you feel like a brick wall, but Judge Howell helped us. Okay, so we'll move on. So for the Capitol, we keep saying, and the messages we keep using are, we need science-based, effective methods for non-lethal wolf plans to support the gray wolf population into the future so communities and wolves can coexist. We keep saying we need to be proactive, we need to figure out a way to let wolves recover and continue the recovery. It's not just a matter of not killing them in a hunt. We also have to figure out how to not kill them in other ways too. So, we say we're the home to the largest and original population that never went extinct. And when people hear that, they go, oh, really? Because there's a psychological switch that I've been kind of working on getting people to make. Instead of saying we only have a few wolves, please don't, we only have a few remaining. It's almost like they become, the more rare they are, the more people want to shoot and kill them. Instead, we have the largest population. We want to keep the largest population that never went extinct and kind of come at it from that angle of, wanting abundance rather than trying to hold on to a few. And that's kind of how I see as the psychological switch that we need in Minnesota to make. Because otherwise they keep saying, well, you got 1,000, well, you only have 800, oh, now you have 700, you still have 700. No. We want to have the maximum level of genetic diversity. The maximum level of genetic diversity is what we need. Because we have to, counter that idea that the numbers are all we're talking about. No, we're not talking about the numbers, we're talking about the social structure, we're talking about the biodiversity, we're talking about how they can survive all of the stressors that they have. So wolves are a critical part of our ecosystem. We have to keep selling the wolf and what the wolf provides to the ecosystem, even though we know the wolf has value, intrinsic value. And wolves live in pack and depend on each other. So we're going to try to eliminate snaring this year, all snaring. And the reason we can sell this as protecting wolves is because wolves do die in coyote snares. Wolves get injured, even if they're in a rabbit snare, they'll hurt their paw. A lot of other animals get killed. A lot of non-target animals are killed. And 20 other states have eliminated wildlife snaring. It is cheap, it is indiscriminate. People put out hundreds of snares, and we know that wolves are injured and killed with snares. We also know that they're baited and trapped, and nobody likes that. So we have one bill that says eliminate all wolf baiting, trapping, and all wildlife snaring. And we'd like to really push that bill and at least get rid of the wildlife snaring. We also have, we want to support that people should have to have written permission, be granted written permission before they can walk on somebody's private land and trap. A lot of people in Minnesota don't realize that somebody can go on their land and trap, and if there's no notice that says no trapping, they can do it. So 22 other states have that. The other thing we want to work toward is getting more support for coexistence with farmers, more actual monetary support for non-lethal methods, more educational support, and we are working at the federal level to get that funding. So now there's a 5-year moratorium on the wolf hunt that was introduced by Senator Eaton again last year. We supported it, but frankly, with the wolf on the endangered species list, we think it's better to just eliminate the wolf hunt altogether off the books. But we know that we might have to buy time with this 5-year moratorium because we don't know what's going to happen at the federal level. So here we are, Wolf Advocates at Wolf Day. I just want to show you some photos. Nice name tags. Some of you people are in here. Sorry if I'm blocking. Can you see? Okay. There's Senator Dibble. He also co-authored one of the bills. And that was the writer Daniel Rice. He lives up in northern Minnesota and wrote a book called The Unpeopled Season. And I think it's well worth reading for learning what it's like to live in the wilderness of Minnesota and amongst the wolves. And there's Lisa Reisenberg in the photo. And there's Senator Uyghur. And Sandy Skinaway and Senator Reinhardt out of Duluth. Representative Jennifer Schultz. Nobody looks very happy in that one. Sometimes people do get resistance from the state legislators. So, and there's Senator Karen Housley with Jennifer Shawley, who's here, right? Yeah. Okay. So then we progressed through the year. We went to the Blue State Ball. One of the reasons we went to the Blue State Ball and got a table is it's sponsored by and for a progressive radio station called AM 950, which gets broadcast locally, but also people podcast all over the country. And they have given us a lot of radio time. they've been very generous with talking about the wolf issue. So we went to the Blue State Ball and supported that. And then the Live and Let Howl campaign. A lot of you may or may not know about this campaign, but we started the Live and Let Howl campaign. We'll just leave it on that, the next one. We started it because the wolf hunt was still going on a year ago last summer. And rather than look like a group that was standing there saying, stop the hunt, but yet the hunt was still going on, right? I wanted to talk about the value of wolves and get enthusiasm for the wolf. Well, what Live and Let Howl means to me, and I think it means different things to different people, is it's about individual expression, it's about a voice, it's about, living is also about expression and about being able to make a statement and also maybe just celebrate. And so what we did was we have people able to submit artwork, music, whatever they want, if it can be shown on our website, to our website, and we created a page called Art Submitted. You can click on it from the front page of our website and see what people have submitted, and then we put a description of the artists and the materials used. We also have a photography section, and we encourage people to go ahead and continue doing that, but we also made it easier. We could have another section. I'd like another section on coloring. We handed out these great, these are originally created for Howling for Wolves by an artist named Mariana Genevieve, or Genevieve Mariani, and one is of a wolf family, and you can download these on our website under T-shirts, etc. Click on the T-shirts, etc. button and go to the bottom, and you can download these coloring projects. The other is of the wolf in the wilderness, with all the wildlife. And we gave these out at the state fair, and this was the one item that I had to go get new prints for, and then we put it on the website. And on the back, we have sort of a factual do you know, and it's geared for about a 12-year-old, I think. It's hard to make it down to a 6-year-old level and have it be meaningful. So maybe a 9-year-old level. But anyway, so this can be downloaded from our website. We have many that are here. I think it would be really cool if people actually went ahead and colored them and scanned them in and sent them to us, and we would create another section called, the coloring projects. So these are some of the Live and Let Howl people. We had different schools take it on. This was a charter school where they created wolf art and put them on display and had a little art show. And these are that back one. This was a high school in Hopkins. They created it one wolf. All those kids created that one wolf, and that's on our website. And so our Live and Let Howl campaign is still kind of ongoing, just so you know about it. I took it from, I won't deny it, I was listening to the Paul McCartney song Live and Let Die, but I've now forgotten about that when I think of Live and Let Howl, and think about Live and Let Live, Live and Let Howl. So that's that campaign, just so you know it's still going. So we are in DC. Joseph Wolf, that's his real name. He's here. He's one of our board members. Everybody looks kind of gray in Washington, don't they? We were in the basement of the house, the Capitol, and we took that photo. We're like, oh, we better get a photo, tell people we're really here. That was in October. We've been to Washington 3 times now. We have Lockridge Grindle now at the federal level. And we also have another lobbyist named Fred, who Aranex LLC is his group. And we are, and I think that's why we're finally got some attention from some of the major environmental groups that are like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Hey, okay, so maybe you should be on our wolf call. So they have this every other week wolf call with a lot of the major groups. But the reason Howling for Wolves started was because we couldn't get the major groups interested in the Great Lakes wolves, but then we, in terms of stopping the hunt. So we were trying to form more alliances with the major groups. HSUS is definitely one of them out in Washington, but we also have this Endangered Species Coalition, and Earth Justice is working really hard out there. Defenders of Wildlife has been working hard. They're all trying to help in Washington. I think, is there any more Washington slides?
Yes.
Right now, wolves have federal protection, but many, and they're listed as threatened, which means lethal methods can still be used, and they are being used, and we're tracking that. A lot of you may not know this, but the one law we had passed at the state level is that wolves that are known dead or found dead or killed have to be put on a website. So we have a track of all known wolf deaths on the DNR website. They buried it deep, very deep. You've got to look under wolfmanagement.html and then you got to click on mortalities, and then you'll see a table. And we found out by doing that, from 2012, 2013, 2014, 1,649 wolves were known or found dead. 1,649 wolves. We don't even know how many in the year 2015. But it helps us to use that. You know, every little, it's like a football game. We got a couple yards with that. But we use that to say, look, wolves die all the time. So we want to keep wolves listed for now. We think that we've shown that where wolves lose their protection, states, even as responsible as Minnesota with plans, they are not protected. So we're asking at the federal level right now in the appropriations bills, there are many things going on to wreck the environment, but one of them is the Endangered Species Act riders, they call them. Instead of an amendment, it's called a rider. And there are riders in the appropriations bills in the Senate and the House that delist the wolves, that reverse the judge's decision out of in Michigan, for the Great Lakes wolves, and make it not judicially reviewable. So we've been putting a lot of pressure, and we want you to continue to put pressure. And the way you can do that is sign our letter, the federal letter, undertake action. If you haven't signed a letter since the state fair, if you last signed it from the state fair till now, you're probably okay. But if before the state fair was the last time you signed anything on our website, sign it, especially the federal letter. And that letter can be signed from anyone throughout the country, because we have the software, a message will go to that person's senator in that state. And one more thing, I was told this repeatedly, no senator at the state or federal level wants to hear from anybody that's not their constituent. So you've got to literally find them their constituents and get people to sign this letter. We've been trying to get Franken to sign on a pledge letter that 25 other senators signed on to hold strong on any Endangered Species Act delistings or taking apart the Endangered Species Act in the appropriations bill. He has not signed it, and neither has Amy Klobuchar. So we kind of, if you can get them to sign on to that, great. But otherwise, message to them that you want wolves protected. Use our letter, and we'll probably have some call-ins coming in the next couple weeks, phone call-ins. So that's what we're doing at the federal level. Now we'll just whip through a lot of the events we did in the last year, so you can just see how active we've been and know what it's going to take to do it in a year. So we had people going to the offices in the state of the federal legislators. We have Klobuchar's office, Rick Nolan's office, both Keith Ellison and then Representative Paulson. We visited these offices, we gave them, our talking points. At that time, we were trying to just keep wolves listed as threatened all over the United States. That was rejected by the Fish and Wildlife Service. Hilarious, the reason they gave for rejecting it. They said, we didn't prove that all the wolves were of a unique species that deserved protection. It's like, they use that unique species to take apart and kill wolves. They say you got plenty of gray wolves, therefore we're going to kill them, and then they use not having a unique species not to list them. So it's a misuse of science, and science is the whore of politicians. You may have heard of that. It's true. So I've kind of told you what's next in Washington. There are 3 bills. If you read our federal action, you'll see what's going on. So go to the Take Action page, go to the second action that says federal for all U.S. residents, and read the letter, the body of the letter, and you'll understand. And sign, and get people to sign. We need more signers. Because we've been working at the state level the whole time. We have not had to do the actions at the federal level. And so this is another big push for us. So we started last year out at the Black Bear Casino with Dan Hukalak, I think is how I pronounce his name. And then we went to Medicine of the Wolf. We had that great reception and showing of this wonderful movie that features Jim Brandenburg. We had more of the reception. Then here we were at the May Day Parade, and we played that May Day Parade ahead of time. I just wanted to show you how we inspired the parade, to howl back. And when you're marching in a parade and you've got all these howls coming at you, it was truly inspiring. So if we do May Day again, please join us. It didn't take many of us to get the crowd going. And then we were at Pride, Grand Old Days, more Pride. And that's how you get the word out. You're just at these events. Volunteer Abby there, more Pride. the Dassel-Cokato Future Farmers of America, that's what FFA stands for, I didn't know that. But they called and asked me to give them debate workshop preparation because they took on the wolf hunt as a debate issue, and they had already been doing this debate like 4 or 5 times throughout the state, and they made their national competition, which they just had in October. I don't know how they did. I ended up giving them, they provided me a list of questions, some of them as basic as what would be the problem if we didn't have any wolves. I thought that was interesting. Yeah, and so, but you know, they had a pro-wolf hunt and an anti-wolf hunt part of their team, and I gave them in July, and they also, this is the whole team, and they were very attentive, and they wanted me to give them 2 hours. I gave them 2.5 hours. I gave them handouts. I gave them a talk. I showed them, I mean, I really took them through much more than you guys are seeing, and they stuck with it and hung with it, and I answered all their questions in my presentation, and they gave me a leadership like thing in metal. They sent it to me and said that I demonstrated leadership for my cause. So. And that's a very important part of our outreach, is to try to outreach with the agricultural community, because really, when it comes down to it, all the laws won't matter if a farmer wants to kill a wolf, right? You really have to get it in their heart that they don't want to kill wolves. So we had a roundtable at the National Congress of American Indians. We actually didn't host it. It was Leech Lake Band of Ojibwe. Susan Jones, I believe, is the chairwoman, and Representative McCullum, and so I went there and talked about, you know, some of the actions we were doing, and the other leaders of the other tribes were there too from Minnesota. We were at the state fair. We had 73 or 74 volunteers. At least that's what was listed. These are all the volunteers.
Half of them. Here's the other half.
And then the other half. These are the people that did a shift at the state fair. A shift was 4 hours. We had to have 3 people do a 4-hour shift 3 times a day. So we had, you know, 3 sets of people, 9 people a day. That's really what it took. We were trying to get more people to sign that federal letter. So we had these laptops, which you may see, we have a few set up to sign the letter. It was a little bit difficult sometimes. People wanted a tablet. They wanted to hit a tablet. We have a new social media person named Donnie. He could not be here, but he helped us get that wolf made, which was huge. And at first I was like, this wolf is too big. What are we going to do with it? But of course, you know, everybody's going to want to be with the wolf, including me. So there I am, looking totally wiped out. And we do miss Lisa Gresson, but she went her separate way. She had other parts of her life she wanted to deal with, including her mother. But you know, I have to tell all of you, we managed to get through the state fair without Lisa, mostly in part because of Isla, but mostly because of you guys, because if you recall, Lisa was doing a lot of the shifts herself, and I think some people commented that I shouldn't be at the fair too much, and they're right, and I didn't do too many shifts like Lisa had to, but it was because you guys did. It's because you showed up, and there were a few times when people came in at the last minute, so we really appreciate that. I went to the Red Lake Nation's government building opening. The reason this is important is I went to Red Lake Nation in 2012 and asked them to sign a resolution to the governor of Minnesota asking him not to have a wolf hunt, and they did, and they voted unanimously for that. And that was the chairman at the time, Buck Floyd Jourdain, and he's now not the chairman, but CT is. So I went and made the trip again. Actually, Donnie made that trip with me. And then we went to this, it was the walk for Global March for Animals. I went there and they gave me a little chance to speak, and that was neat. And we have an interview. There's a show on CW 23 called Our Issues, Twin Cities, and Raina Kamal interviewed me. So that should be showing any week now. It's on Sunday mornings, I
We'll
think.
email it out, yeah.
So we'll try to email it out and look for it. Just start watching that show anyway, Our Issues, to get an idea for style. So without any more, Christine, can you come up and give them your comments? But I think the next is Wolf Day. We set the date. We're going to be at the Armory again. We know the Capitol is going to be very, very awkward to navigate, but we can meet at the Armory. We can do another Wolf Day, March 23rd. Put it on your calendar. It's a full moon. Okay. purposely picked a full moon. Come on up.